texts to send after a first date. Relatively speaking, the date part of a first date is the easy stuff. It's the post-date communication that is so hard to figure out. David Ezell, the clinical director of Darien Wellness, a counseling and mental wellness group in Connecticut, conducts dating workshops and told me that the topic of texting has risen sharply over the past 5 years. It seems easier for each participant in the date to keep the conversation going from a distance, using a keyboard rather than spoken communication. Ezell continued, dating is as much a sales game as anything. His take on post-date texting is that too much communication from one party can be intimidating. Meanwhile, April Davis, relationship expert, certified life coach, and CEO of Luma Luxury Matchmaking, reminded us that texting causes a lot of miscommunication and misunderstandings because it is hard to read or interpret emotion through text. Yikes. So, what do you say, and how do you text after the first date? You need to be aware that there is no set formula or exact science, because there is an infinite amount of first date scenarios. And no, you are not the only one with anxiety over what texts to send after an initial date. If the date was great and you want a second, you can carefully craft your communication in cute fashion. If it was awful but you don't want to be ignorant and not respond, you can still let them down easy. You can also get to date 2 even if date 1 was made based on calculated post-date transmissions. Here are the perfect texts to send after the first date, depending on how well things went. Did you get home safely? Justin Lavelle of peoplelooker.com, the leading online background check platform for digital daters, proposed this text as the most immediate post-date communique because it shows you are interested and sends the message that you are a nice person. Beyond that, it could keep the convo and the good time going. Lavelle told me, who knows? It might lead to a little text flirting that can be fun and a perfect cap to the evening. Indeed, a lot of meaning is conveyed despite being economical with word choices. I think we can both agree that needs to happen again, right? When the first date is amazing and you want to see him or her again but don't want to seem too eager, it is essential to play it safe and express your excitement without going overboard and scaring the other person away with your zealousness. Comedian Billy Procida, host of the Man Whore podcast, which tackles issues of dating, sexuality, and relationships, admitted to me, I hate the playing it cool tactic. If you're excited, then seem excited. You can seem excited and not like a crazy pants. So, to play it safe, keep it short. He also recommended adding a favorite emoji at the end of the above referenced text for additional expressiveness. He finished, if you can express the entire date in emojis, do it. End with a happy girl or boy emoji followed with some hands in the air. If that date was a bank heist, we totally made off with millions. Yes, that Procida pen text is cute and cheesy. But it's also incredibly effective for scenarios in which the date was totally awesome and you want to express it in a sassy and original way that shows off more of your personality. If someone sent me that text, it'd so be game for date no, too, because it has a sense of humor and is totally frisky. If the bank metaphor isn't quite working for you, you can try something with a similar start and finish. I'd really like to see you again. My schedule is pretty tight the next couple of weeks. Can you do an afternoon this week? When the first date is good but you don't want to dive right in or appear overly interested because you're easing back into dating, or because you aren't looking for something too serious yet, Procida recommends suggesting an afternoon meetup for the second date and for very specific reasons. They take the pressure off of going home together, but can still be plenty cute and successful, he said. A fun day at the museum still presents itself with opportunities for a don't worry, this is going well kiss without the anxiety of when do I tell him we're not going to have sex tonight? He suggested the above text as the base, but dress it up a little with an enticing daytime date recommendation. Cheetah encouraged adding something that reveals your interests, such as, I know this cool exhibit coffee shop or Contique Roadshow that specializes in Honey Boo Boo memorabilia you've been wanting to check out and would love for you to come with. Sorry if I seemed a little off. You helped me end a long day on a good note. I'd really like to see you again if you're up for it. If the first date was awkward, which so many are, but not disastrous, it's fine to remain optimistic. If you want to see the other person again but can't tell if he or she shares your feelings, Cheetah thinks honesty is the best policy. If it was awkward for you, it was probably awkward for Hiva, he explained. Some acknowledgement that this wasn't a typical date might even alleviate concerns from Hiva that you weren't interested. I'm all for putting cards on the table. This text recognizes that things were a little first date weird, all the while putting on a fresh spin and leaving the door wide open for a second night out. Had a lot going on, but definitely want to see you again, as I had a great time. Can we get together next week? When the first date was amazing but you want to pace yourself, this short but sweet text is the best way to keep the other person interested, according to Melissa DeVaris Thompson, a licensed marriage and family therapist based in New York City. The note shows the recipient that you are in demand and have a life outside of your romantic relationships, potential or otherwise. It also puts some time and space between the first date and gives you both something to look forward to, since you've clearly set the table for another meet-up. Should we do this again? Even if it was a good yet not great first date, you can still see both potential and value in a second date. If you are willing to give it another go, you can try and mix it up to get a better result and attempt to get to know each other more. Thompson told me you don't want to be overly complimentary or put off. You can and should play the middle. She noted. Keeping text simple is a rule. You want to communicate just enough, but not so that people are reading into what you are trying to say. Strive for being as clear, concise, and honest as feels appropriate. Texting "should we do this again?" is blunt and cuts through the ether. Let's find a time to see that new movie. Dating and relationships expert Alison Blackman recommends mentioning a specific activity you may have discussed while on the first date as grounds to generate a second if you really dig the other person. If you talked about seeing the latest Marvel movie, bring it up, and use it as a launchpad to turn the shared desire to see a film into the reason to see each other again. It's also a subtle way to demonstrate to the other person that you have been thinking about them and the prior outing. It shows you were paying attention and may have shared passions and interests, which could lead to a third, fourth, or fifth date. I'm going to have trouble sleeping after such a great date. Davis offered this short, sexy, and subtext-free transmission as a wonderful way to put a period on the end of the sentence that was your date. If the time together was wonderful and leaves you with butterflies, why not share it with the person who is causing you to have that tickle in your tummy? That means sparks flew and you'll never know if he or she felt the same unless you put it out there. It could